Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're giving you guys a review of Tyrona by Raza. So we've listened to this album nonstop for an entire week, and I guess I'll start by talking about some of my favorite tracks.
Cool.
Ring of Gold. Open the floor with that. Love this song. This is what I said last week is the power ballad of the album, and I still feel that it is, yes, a power ballad. The strength behind this song reminds me of the cover that Arch Enemy did on their recent album of Viva Liebe.
Viva Liebe, yeah.
So it has a similar kind of force and strength behind it, and I love that. I also think like it's got this power, it's got the personality that this band presents, and it doesn't detract from anything. Like if a death metal band does a ballad, it would sound like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I see where you're going with it. I personally wouldn't call it a ballad, but I think it's like as close as it can get to one, I think it's there. But I don't think it's quite a ballad, but it's like definitely the cool down song, the mellow song, at least one of two. I think there's two songs on this album that kind of hit that same
I just feel like
point.
that one is like the most melodic of them.
It is, yeah.
And it makes sense because usually if you're gonna have, you know, this hard album and have your ballad song, it's gonna come at that point in the album, near the end. Like it's like the third last track.
Yeah.
So that makes sense, but that is one of the songs that I definitely was just looking forward to every time I put this album on. I'm like, yeah, here we go, this is awesome, it's cool, it's powerful. Like I said, it retains the character of this band, it doesn't sacrifice anything, and I love that.
Okay, well, just piggybacking off that, how do you feel about track number 4, Savage Strength? Because I feel like that's also kind of the cool down song, and in a sense, not a ballad, but the song that kind of gives people a breather on the album. And the fact that there's two of those kind of songs on this album is, I think, a little bit unique, especially on a death metal album. So how do you feel about Savage Strength?
I like it. I really like the guitar, like the harmony part in the guitar of that track. The chorus is pretty cool, and I think it's a really good example as to one of the biggest positives of this album is that the guitar playing. So obviously in a death metal album, especially one like this, the guitar riffs alone are just one thing you always want to look into, right?
Yeah.
This album goes a bit further with that, and this band goes a little bit further with that, and there's more depth to it. The guitar is doing stuff that doesn't just sound like riff done. There's harmonies, there's these melodies that almost sound like they're singing. There's a lot of depth that goes into this guitar performance of this album. Whoever this is, killed it on this record.
Yeah.
And I guess to kind of piggyback off that point, solos are always great. Every solo in this album is a great solo. Like, they're all, it's not like there's like that one solo that stands super tall, but the rest is like, they're all consistently great. Like every single solo, if you were to cherry pick any of these songs, let's say we didn't even check this album out at all, and you cherry picked any one of these for us to react to, we would both be saying, fuck, that was a sick solo.
Yeah, and it's weird because when you have so many good solos, it's hard to notice that if any of them are great because they're all kind of hitting a high standard.
Yeah.
And it almost kind of makes it hard on itself because they're all so good. It's hard to find a really great one to point out. It's like, this one's the best one.
But like, they're all like that level.
Yeah.
So really, really cool. But yeah, Savage Strength, I did like. It wasn't like an insane mind blower song, but I did really like that kind of depth in it and the harmony and those melodic aspects to it. So a song, I mean, I still like Estable Corruption. That is the Luigi's Mansion one. I don't know if you checked out the theme from Luigi's Mansion. I don't know that we did.
I didn't check it out, no.
But it is that, which I still love. And that song in general, like that section of the song, which basically comes halfway through and then goes into the solo section. I love it for that reference already, but ignoring that, it's just a sick section in general. Like you don't need to point out the reference to see how fun and cool that section is of the song. It's kind of just like a change up, like out of nowhere in the middle. But I love that section, like reference or not. I think it's great and consistently love that. But I was coming back to it consistently because I'm like, yeah, Luigi's Mansion, let's go. So I like that as well. That's another really good one. A song, Overflowed. This song, in my opinion, has basically everything that this album brings to the table. Like if you wanted a good, like, you know, give me a song that kind of sums up what this album's about. I think that would be a really good one to pick.
Yeah.
Brutal, fast stuff, wild solos, a cool section after the first solo with like a little bit of talking in it. I thought that was pretty cool. Then like they hit some cool shots. it's just a really, really well constructed song. You got this riff recapitulated with different drum grooves, which changes it up. And that is used with and without being a solo section in the middle of the track. It's just like, it hits all the markers. Like, that's a great song.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
So, you know, I could point out a few other like cool guitar ideas, like this cool descending riff in the chorus of Imperial Holocaust. That's pretty neat. But I was finding that there were songs. It's an album that has a lot of songs that have cool things in them, but there are some songs that just came and went for me. You know, there were some songs that I found difficult to write notes on, but they weren't necessarily bad songs. So it got me thinking, like, well, this is an album that has a lot of songs with like actual like standout moments and really cool, memorable stuff. I feel like maybe it would have been like for the best interest of this band and this album to maybe just like cut a few tracks, not because they're bad tracks, but to make the album more concise.
Yeah. When it comes to writing notes, I had a bit of a similar feeling, but it wasn't that I didn't know what notes to write. It's just that I didn't know what notes to write that I haven't written already on other songs. Like, how many times am I gonna say this riff is good,
Or like awesome solo.
or this song has a cool groove section, or something like that, right? So it's like there's a consistency there, but again, when you're trying to do a review and you want to talk about each song and say, this is the cool part of this song and this is the cool part of this song, but all those cool parts have the same verbiage and the same language you're going to use, it almost, like, we're going to sound like broken records talking about each song in a way. I feel like, right? So that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I feel like this is a solid album. I feel like this band, even though they're old school by date, they've been around since the 90s, they have that new wave of death metal sound, and they've kind of encapsulated that. They hit all the right markers for me when it comes to a band like this. They have the good riffs. They have the nice, solid death growl vocalist that he's got a really cool voice. The solos are on point. The grooves are on point. They got some mellow death in there. They're sprinkling different things around. It doesn't feel like it stagnates at all. It feels entertaining throughout. There's no point of the album where I feel like it goes through a lull or gets boring. I feel like it's got good contour and they put certain tracks in the right places. It's hitting all those right. It's checking all those boxes for me. But yeah, like TV Fish and myself was just saying, it gets to the point where I'm like, all right, like, yeah, this song's got good riffs, but does it have anything else? Right? Is that enough for me to like add this song to the playlist when I've already added 2 or 3 others? And it kind of hurts to say, but sometimes, no, that's not enough. Sometimes you need more than a good riff or a good groove to carry a song. That might give it the track, if we're scoring tracks, it might give it a better score, but it's not going to elevate it to that level where you're going, holy crap, this is amazing, right? So that's kind of where I'm at. Just to kind of gloss over some of my favorite songs, the track that I thought was the best from the beginning of the week, remained the best through the middle of the week, and I still think is the best track on this album is Looters, which is the first song on the album. The first track is an intro. This is track number 2. I just love the riff that kicks in on this song. It's deadly. Again, the solo's good. You got different aspects in it. You got a little bit of tremolo stuff. The vocalist, like I said, he's got a really cool growl. I love how he says looters. Like, just mean. It's visceral. Really love that. I love how the drummer's just going ham on the ride the whole time. Like, just ringing through. It invokes everything that I want in a death metal song. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Eaten by Bloodbath. When I first heard that song, I was like, holy shit, this is the death metal song.
Yeah.
And that song is iconic. I don't think this is quite at that level, but it gave me the same kind of feeling. The track right after that, Imperial Holocaust, I think just continues with the same kind of brutality. It's a little bit more melodic in certain parts, so they're kind of adding different things. It's got a skank beat. Again, the rhythm section on this album, doing a lot of different things. They're not just playing with the standard, just blast beats the whole time or anything like that. They got a few different things going on. There's a really rad chuggy bit that happens later on in the song. Again, like that. I'm glad they don't do it a lot or all the time, but it's nice when it's put in there at appropriate times, and that's what we're talking about, where they're kind of doing different things and giving each song some freshness. And that's on songs where it does happen, like the first 2 tracks I mentioned. Then there's a stretch of songs later on in the album, tracks 7, 8, and 9, which I think are all fantastic as well. All those songs, again, not to go into too much detail, but they just, again, they did something for me as a listener that felt like it was above and beyond other tracks. Something about them, whether it's track 8, Outbreak, has a bit of a slow headbanging brutality to it. It's not a slow song like a ballad, it just has more of like a slow beat down, pounding kind of sound to it. It actually reminded me a bit of a Death Clock song. It had a very Death Clocky type of vibe to it, and I'm down for that. I also like the bridge section before the solo kicks in. Like, there's just certain elements of it that were perking my ears up and making me go, oh wow, that was really cool. My biggest issue with the album, and this is what, when we finally score it, I'm just prefacing, this is what's gonna hurt the score for me, is the intro and outro tracks. Yeah. Unfortunately, they're both kind of interlude tracks. The intro's 59 seconds. It's not horrible, but it really does nothing for me. I don't think it really adds a lot of value to the album. I guess it does an okay job at kicking the album off. If there was a little bit more substance there, it probably would have helped out a little bit. But Tyrona, the last track, 2 minutes and 30 seconds, this one I feel like was just an unnecessary track. It just kind of goes nowhere. It kind of sounds to me like war music or something like that. Like, I didn't really know what to make of it. But I think having the album end with Ring of Gold followed by Involution Room would have been a cool way to end it. Speaking of those two tracks, T. Fish already mentioned Ring of Gold being kind of a slower ballady type of track. And then Involution Room right after that is a fast, like, energetic, crunchy riffs, D-beat style grooves, just nice high energy to contrast the track we heard before it. And that's really good as far as album contour goes when you hear stuff like that. And I thought that would have been a great way to end the album. So having Tyrona at the end, I feel like hurts this album overall. I don't think it needs to be there. If it does need to be there, it needs more to it to at least attract a listener or make it worth listening to, in my opinion.
Regarding the intro and outro, I agree that the title track, which is the outro, is too long. But honestly, I feel like the intro track, which is 59 seconds, as you said, doesn't really amp me up for anything. Every time I put the album on, I just kind of want to get to Looters already, you know? I don't think it's like that effective of an intro track. It does its job, I guess. You know,
it doesn't ruin the album.
It doesn't ruin anything, but it's really not that great of an intro track. However, I feel like the title track would have been better as an intro track because that kind of hypes you up. So what I would do,
oh yeah, totally,
is swap them and then make the title track shorter.
Make the title track shorter and just get rid of Icaro.
You could even just get rid of that, I guess. Yeah, that's fine. Just, you know what I mean? But I feel like that the title track would have been a more effective intro track. Just shorten it, put it at the front of the album. Yeah. That hypes you up, and then Looters, bam, explodes.
That would have been perfect.
I wasn't super huge on Looters. That one was a bit of a come and go song for me, but I didn't dislike it by any means. It was just didn't have as much of the standout moments as some of the other songs did. Regarding Involution Room, it actually reuses a section from Outbreak. So about in the middle, they in Outbreak, well, I guess in both songs, they do a part with or groove with the 16 Low Triplets, which sounds like One by Metallica, like that section. And it's funny because I was listening to the album at one point this week, and I'm listening to Involution Room, and I hear it, and I'm like, didn't I hear this already? What? Huh? And then I look back, I'm like, oh yeah, they just reused this. Why? And obviously, there are some times where that is a creative decision. Obviously, sometimes, you see stuff recapitulated, callbacks, reworked. This didn't seem like there was anything to connect these songs. It just seemed like they just reused a thing.
Yeah, and it's not exactly the same. Give them a little bit of credit. Like the drums and the rhythm guitar are doing basically the exact same thing. Maybe a minor tempo change.
Yeah, I think it's very slightly
The lead
faster.
guitar is doing something different. But again, when you listen to both parts, they sound the same. You have to analyze it with a microscope or whatever to really notice the difference. But yeah, it's like, I feel like that's an example of a band just kind of falling into a natural thing that they kind of naturally do and not realizing they've done it already on the album.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel like what might have happened there.
Well, anyway, with that being said, I'd say this would be a good time to rate the album. So I guess I'll start and say that this is quite a good album. This is the kind of situation where it's like, we take a chance on a band. Yeah. They don't seem super popular, and it's cool that we get to, let you guys know about them. And it's always fun when it's a pleasant surprise, because it's like, wow, there's some cool stuff. There's a lot of depth. The guitar work is fantastic. You mentioned that they get a little bit of mellow depth. The note that I kind of made about that is that this doesn't feel like melodic death metal. This is death metal with melodic elements.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, so they have the nature of death metal, and they throw these spices in
just
there.
different parts, yeah.
So it's like I would compare some of the vibe from this band to like those of like modern Cannibal Corpse, Blood Red Throne, or Surreption. But then they throw in all these cool and intricate guitar things, and it makes for a really cool and unique band. That being said, there's a lot of really cool moments on this album that do stand out, but there are some songs that kind of just come and go. I feel like the album could be a little bit more concise. You know, if you get rid of the intro track, make the outro the intro, shorten that, and maybe cut out a few tracks, you'd have a really concise album that's consistently hitting really cool moment after really cool moment, and then every song feels like a super notable song, as opposed to here are the notable songs, and then what was that one again? Because if you can make an album where every single song is super notable just by name alone, you see that name, you see Ring of Gold, you're like, yeah, that's the one with that.
Yeah.
Or Involution Room, that's the one with that, like for example.
Yeah.
So I think if you do that, then you really, really beef this album up. Still a good album. I'm gonna score it a 6.
Fair, yeah. You know what? I really like this album. It was a surprise. It was a pleasant surprise. I actually went back and listened to a little bit of their prior discography to see, is this band consistent? And I didn't go through every album, every song, but I was just kind of sprinkling through different songs. And I was like, you know what? They sound pretty consistent. Like, this is a solid band. I'm surprised I've never heard of them before, considering how long they've been around. But as for my score on this album, I did like it a lot. The problem is I have to score the album as a whole album. I have to include tracks that I don't like, and that includes these interlude tracks because they're part of the album, so they have to be part of my score. And I think they hurt the album enough. I mean, score-wise, we score each track individually. We do a calculation, and that gives us our final score. And it lands where it lands. I don't have a control over it after that. But this one's close. It landed at a 7.5 for me. And again, that's a half point off of a toe tag. And like we were saying, if it didn't have the interlude tracks, or maybe like if you said just swap the interlude tracks or whatever, it probably would have made it, because you know you have two tracks that kind of go nowhere. Those tracks get low scores, and it anchors down the rest of the scores, and that's just how it is. So tracks 2 through 11, that's toe tag territory for sure for me. But again, I have to rate the whole album as it is, and it landed at a 7.5, which is unfortunate. In either way, T-Fish gave it a 6, so it's not like I would have made the list anyway, but I'm just illustrating how close and how far things can be based on one little thing, or, you know.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy that's how it is. But, you know, this is a band I think more people should be listening to and checking out. I hope we start seeing their name in more conversations. And I'll be looking forward to whatever they have coming out next, whether it's an album, an EP, a video, whatever.
Yeah, No Raza is now on our radar. Quite a good album, a 7.5 from Vile Self and a 6 from me. And that's all we got for you guys today. Remember to like this video if you like it. Tell us in the comments below. Have you listened to this band before? Have we just introduced them to you for the first time? What do you think? Let us know. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. I'm TV Fish.
I'm Vile Self.
We'll see you guys later.